Hello and welcome to the first ever podcast by TommyGunTheBaby.blogspot.com. If you aren't aware of this already, over at Tommy Gun the Baby we have in-depth movie reviews, music, comedy, technology, news, hot girls, whatever you want, we pretty much got it. I wanted to do a wrap-up of the best films of the decade. All the films are going to be in alphabetical order, and at the end, I'm actually going to tell you what the worst movie of the decade is. So, stay tuned for that. First up is Lars von Trier's Dancer in the Dark. This is a film that came out in 2000. It won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. Also, Bjork won the Best Actress award at Cannes. In my opinion, it may be my favorite performance by a female ever. Actually, that and Nicole Kidman's performance in Dogville are two of my more recent favorites. We'll get to Dogville later. This may be the most depressing movie I've ever seen, but at the same time, it's completely brilliant and I highly recommend it. Second up, we have Martin Scorsese's The Departed. Boston crime drama, DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson, Matt Damon. How can you go wrong? I mean, from beginning to end, fantastic story. Very well acted, very well directed. Third, we have Dogville, also written, directed by Lars von Trier. This came out in 2003. My favorite Lars von Trier movie. The movie that made me a big fan of his. This movie is 3 hours long. It starts off fairly slow, I would say the first hour, but by the end, everyone that has seen it that I know has been completely blown away and absolutely loves the film and loves the ending. Next, we have Donnie Darko. This is also one of my favorite films of all time. Written, directed by Richard Kelly, who just recently came out with The Box. And before that, Southland Tales, which it's a debacle, so don't waste your time with that one. But Donnie Darko is one of my favorites. It's Richard Kelly's first film, and it's hard to really describe without seeing it, because while the story's linear, its subject matter is kind of abstract. So I highly recommend this if you like a movie that'll make you think. Next on the list is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, featuring Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, written by Charlie Kaufman. Film about a relationship gone wrong, but done in a way that only Charlie Kaufman can do it. Next is Fahrenheit 9/11. Now, I know this is somewhat controversial, but it's the most successful documentary of all time. I think Michael Moore's greatest achievement to this point. I pretty much loved every film he's come out with, but at the time this came out, it was extremely controversial, edgy, and highly impactful. Unfortunately, Bush still won, but that's neither here nor there. Next is The Fountain by Darren Aronofsky. Some people love Requiem for a Dream. Some people love The Wrestler. I pretty much love all his movies, but The Fountain, to me, is somewhat special. It's about accepting death, dealing with death, and it's not a subject matter that most people like to talk about, but everything in this film is completely brilliant. The story, the acting, the cinematography, the special effects. I think it's a masterpiece, along with many other films in this list. Next on the list is a film that came out this year, Inglourious Basterds. Anytime Quentin Tarantino comes out with a movie, it's probably going to be on my best of list. But I think this is his best film since Pulp Fiction. Maybe his best film ever. I don't know. I have to go see Pulp Fiction again, but it's definitely up there. It has everything you'd want in a Tarantino film. It has great dialogue, brilliantly written, over-the-top violence. Well, it's a perfect Tarantino movie. Next is another Tarantino movie, Kill Bill. Now, I would say this is not as good as Inglourious Basterds, but it is better than most films that came out this decade. And it's a revenge movie with Uma Thurman and a lot of other girls doing kung fu. and once again, it's completely brilliant. Next is Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. What he was able to do with all three films, and particularly the director's cuts versions that were out on the DVD, also another modern day masterpiece. Most of you have probably seen it, but if you haven't, I don't know what's going on. Next is The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions. Now, this one got a lot of backlash. People who loved the first Matrix didn't understand the second and third ones, thought it was too boring, too long, too complicated. Well, guess what? I don't care about any of that. The second Matrix literally changed my life. I know that's kind of weird to say, but and it's too long to go into now. But the second and third Matrix are one film split into two. If you take them as a whole, it's a brilliant work of art. I think actually the Matrix trilogy is one of the greatest cinematic works in recent history. If you really look at from a writing, directing standpoint, it's completely brilliant on all levels. Next is Superbad. Now I have two comedies in this and one horror film. I couldn't just have all dramas. Superbad is one of the funniest movies of the decade. Takes place in one night, and it's about a bunch of guys going to get some alcohol to impress some girls. But for some reason, the writing is extremely strong, and it's funny from start to finish. Next is another comedy, Team America, written by Matt Stone and Trey Parker, the South Park guys. Some of my favorite comedies are written by them: Orgasmo, the South Park movie, and now Team America. Team America is probably the most underrated comedy of the decade. But from start to finish, it is a comedic masterpiece. Last on the list of the best films is the first Saw movie. Now I know what it's kind of turned into recently with Saw 10,000 and everything, but the first Saw movie is completely brilliant. And if anyone tells you they guessed the ending, they're completely lying. The ending had everyone fooled. Definitely the best horror film of this decade. I would say there's nothing even really that close to it. And lastly, I wanted to say the worst movie of the decade, and actually the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life, is called The 13th Child. This movie's about the Jersey Devil. I think it was only released in the Northeast. I wanted to walk out so many times, but it was so bad that I just wanted to see how bad it really got. If you want to see the worst movie ever made, please rent this. It's god awful. So that's it. Thanks for listening. And if you have any comments, please comment. You can hit me up on TommyGunTheBaby.blogspot.com or my new page coming up, Facebook.com/TommyGunTheBaby. Thank you.